Thank you, Marshall. Hi, everybody. Today is Wednesday, April 10th, 2024. These are our Wednesday CalPADS Q&As. My name is Alex Sandi. Um, I figured I might as well just start getting used to my new name. So if you see Sandi in emails and such, it's me. It's going to take a little while to get everything populated, but yeah. Anyway, I'm a data analyst at CISA supporting CalPADS, and driving for us today is Gary Gerwer. We're going to move on to announcements. And first off, the end of year initial deadline. You'll see here on the screen, Gary has it up for us. The initial deadline is July 26th. The final deadline is August 16th. So there is an amendment period, right? Just a reminder, though, that August 16th, SELPA approval is required for end of year 3 and end of year 4. The end of year submissions start May 7th. And what this means is that certification reports and certification errors will become available. You'll be able to see them starting May 7th, but it does not mean that you have to wait until May 7th for you to start uploading your data. If you've already done data cleanup in your SIS and all your files are good to go, you can start submitting end of year files today. And that's particularly true because now we have the data discrepancy screen in CalPADS that will help you identify any potential errors before the submission starts. So you can try to be proactive and clear up. Thank you, Gary. That's your data discrepancy screen. That runs outside of submission windows, so you can clear out any errors and get ahead of the game. The next announcement is that end of year training is going to starting at the end of this month or close to the end of this month. An email went out to the CALPADS Lis-serve yesterday. And just a reminder, folks, that the Bridge username to log into Bridge, it is different from your CalPADS login. So take a look at that communication at the very top. It'll show you how the username is what am I trying to say? Thank you, Gary. The format of the username is so that you can try to log in and be successful in getting in there. Alrighty, that's it for me. Martha or Sean or anybody else from CD have any updates?
Nothing for me.
Nothing for me. You covered it all, Alex, and congratulations.
Wait,
Thank
congratulations for what?
I got married.
Oh, yeah, well, I knew that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good news.
She announced it though, Brittany. That's all. So we're just
like, well, I saw the congratulations. I'm like, wait, is she leaving or something? Did somebody not tell? Okay, thank you.
Nope. Here to stay.
I just had one update, and Martha, it's kind of to your point that we were talking about earlier today, which is CISA is offering their end of year trainings, and what we were trying to clearly articulate in these trainings versus the road shows that I'm going to start giving next week is that Martha's team focuses on sort of the nuts and bolts of how to submit, what errors to look for, what the reports are that you're required to certify. And although we will be going over some of that in the road shows, we really are going to take a much deeper dive into what are the local audits that you need to be doing in your special education data systems? What are the specific things you're looking for in those reports correlated to your annual performance reports and next year's annual determination letters and your federal indicators? So we're going to be looking at it with a much closer special education lens. So there will be a little bit of overlap, but for the most part, the road shows are gonna take a much deeper dive into all of the data from a programmatic sense.
Okay. So we're going to dive straight into our first question, and that is at 3:01, Rebecca from Fresno COE. Hi, Rebecca. Question 1 reads, I have received this question from a few LEAs. For end of year one, if a high school has a vacant course with a different substitute teacher every day, how does the teacher information get reported since seed of nines is not allowed for a generic account? Or is it?
No, it's not allowed for, so Rebecca, I believe you're talking about like the STEM information and the staff file. So you do not report the seed of all nines for the STEM or the staff file. You do report it in the course file. And then with that course file, you would just report the seed of all nines and then the course entry file and then also the course closing file. Sorry if I can't remember the
Student course section?
completion. Yeah, the completion file. Sorry. You still report that seed of all nines then again for it. But you don't report that actual vacancy. But you do if the LEA does need to follow those vacancy rules though, if they need to send out the letter that goes out with that as well too, if needed. Yes, we do have documentation on that. I want to say it's in the FAQs. I know Gary's driving, sorry. I believe it's in I'm almost positive it's in the FAQs under fall 2. And if not, Rebecca, I'll find it and email it out to you.
I always thought that reporting generic seed in end of year was perfectly fine since we're not looking at staff data. It's course completion, we're focused on the student data.
Yeah,
The
that is
vacancy
correct.
information doesn't factor in.
Yeah, you're right, Nate.
So then we're going to move on. Thank you for the congratulations, folks. Appreciate it. Rebecca Q1 says, can you please show me where the video named End of Year Data Population is located on the CSIS YouTube training channel? The April 9th email communication for the EOY training announcement mentioned it was available as of the date of that email, but I did a search and could not find it, only those pertaining to EOY student incident data population. I believe it's a section, right, within the...
It should have been a heading, and I'm looking all over for it because I thought last year we did EOY 1 through 4 data population. Maybe we called it the primer. I don't know. Nate
That one right
or
there?
Marshall, do you recall anything? Matt, if you're on the call, because you delivered it, I thought.
Last year
I'm
we
looking
did a
at
primer course, but we've never did an EOY data population.
We
The
have
self-
the
the
data
self-pay.
population. Right. We have the data population training videos for each of the files that we submit throughout end of year, but we only have reporting and certification and primer trainings that cover all of the data collections individually.
Thank you for that clarification. So I'll update that April announcement so we don't cause confusion next year.
All right. Rebecca, I see your question too. We'll circle back. And thanks to the other, thank you to the other Rebecca. Yolanda Q1 says, how can we confirm we are on the CALPADS Lis-serve as I received no emails? I don't know if there's a way you can confirm.
Make sure that you, Yolanda, if you are not the CALPADS LEA admin, then you do need to sign up for the listserv. And you need to confirm on the listserv as well too. There's a process that it goes through, and then it sends you that email like confirmation to say, yes, this is your email or something like that. Most people miss over that step. And then also, if you've already completed this process, then I would ensure that your email address is the CALPADS email address is whitelisted through your IT department. And so if you've never seen our listserv pages before, that's Gary's driving and showing it for you right there. That's how you sign up. That is also how you unsubscribe if needed too. because we can't take you all off. And if you happen to leave your old LEA and you move to another one or your email address changed, we don't know that information. So just go ahead and remove yourself and then add in the new one or request for the new one to be added in as well.
All right. Let's see. Shelly says, congrats, Alex. By the way, would you please hover over your name and change your last name? Yeah, I missed that. I'll get it next time. And then thank you for all the congrats. And now, let's see, where are we at? Oh, Rebecca says FYI, there was a typo in the document that went out for the training. It states first name dot last name at myfigmat.org, but there should be a period between my and Figmat.
You are correct, Rebecca. Thank you for catching that.
Thank you, Anne. Moving on to Amber. Question 1. Any updates on Plan 637E4? Just had a lengthy discussion about it this morning.
Yeah, right now, we're still not turning it on because we're going to be having some discussions about how to analyze the data and take a look at all of the statuses that were created as a result of the data creation process and where they're incongruent. The other thing that we're looking into, just so you know, is potentially creating a special education status anomaly report. So what that report potentially could do, and again, this is a proposal for the future. It's not going to be something that's going to happen this year. But it would be a report that would take a look at the student's exit code, and it would show you when that is in conflict with the student's current special education status. So in instances where you've got a student who has a status of eligible and participating, but they've exited the school and are not expected to return, or when they've got a status of eligible, not enrolled, and they're actually enrolled in a public school. So we're talking about that. We'll have more information for you, hopefully by the next weekly Q&A. And certainly we're hoping to provide information during the special education office hours on Monday.
Okay, we're gonna go now to Susan, Q1. Our school year starts on August 23rd, 2024. We have a student starting school with us who will not turn 5 until August 31st, 2024. Can the student start kindergarten, or do they have to wait until the following year?
Yes, they can. The cutoff dates for next year for 24-25 children are eligible for TK if they turn 5 years old between September 2nd and June 2nd. So your LEA should have that actual, yes, I know it's not TK, Susan. So your LEA should have that process codified though for your public facing view. Remember for us, TK and K are still the same technically in the federal definition. We've separated it out for California. But yes, that is the same, and that's going to be under the CDE page for transitional kindergarten FAQs. And then how you all are breaking up those classes and ages specifically for your LEA. But the student, as long as they are 5 between September 2nd and June 2nd, yes, they may attend. And then note each year those dates change, and then 25, 26, it becomes available for a TK for their 4th birthday by September 1st. So that's something good to have. And you all should be, again, your child welfare and attendance monitor or your early childhood education director should be consulted with those.
Okay. Kelly from Pioneer Union also did not receive any communications about end of year trainings. So same deal, Kelly, make sure that you are subscribed to the listserv and maybe check with your IT department to make sure that those aren't being blocked for some reason. Answered that one. Heidi from EdTech Q1 says, I joined late. What are we congratulating Alex for? I got married last October, and I changed my name, and I finally got around to making the updates to most places. So I was just giving a heads up that my last name is now Thandi. So don't be confused.
I love how she used that as her Q1 now. I'm like, thanks.
I know. Thanks, Doug. Marshall at 3:11 timestamp posted a link to the EOY primer. So that's at the 3:11 timestamp. Okay, moving on to Diana from Colton Joint. Question 1. We are a CEP school and we had our baseline year during the 22-23 academic year. Our next baseline year will be during the 26-27 academic year. For students who, for example, have a 182 reduced price meal program for the 22-23 baseline year, but are now direct start for the 23-24 academic year, does the direct start override the 182 program until our next baseline year?
I'm thinking.
I
I believe the answer is yes, because it's the updated status.
I think they have to rebase. Yeah, they have to rebase. If they're going to do that, they have to do it for everybody. They can't just do it per student.
Yes.
So meaning that ultimately it doesn't matter for purposes of CEP, right? Because everybody gets free meals. So if their initial status was reduced, they still get counted for LCFF purposes. There is no reason to upgrade their status to direct certification until the rebase. Because if you're going to do it for one student, you have to do it for everybody. Unless they're new students.
Okay. Next we have Mia, Q1. For some students who have current student SWDs eligible and participating, a meet, plan, and serve records in CALPADS, why are they showing up as no for SPED for testing in TOMS? The SPED data for these students were posted from Stace to CALPADS last month, and they are currently enrolled in our district. Oh, and I see Thor has answered, asking Mia to please submit a ticket, including the SSIDs, and CD will investigate. So thank you, Thor.
Sometimes that happens when they start testing already. They've already started testing, because if they've already started testing, it locks in that status as of the start of testing. And Thor, can you confirm that?
Oh, are you waiting for him? I don't think Thor has a mic, Randy. So
Okay.
we're waiting for him to confirm out loud. I'm sorry. He'll probably put like yes or a thumbs up in the chat. My bad. Sorry, Thor.
I would have been here for the rest of the hour.
Yeah.
All right. So at 3:12 timestamp, we have a link from Nathan with the CALPADS Lis-serve. So if you did want to sign up, subscribe or unsubscribe for the Lis-serve, that is the link there at the 3:12 timestamp. And then Yolanda just mentions that she was receiving the communications up until about a month ago. So. Interesting. We will move on to Fabiola. question 1 says, good afternoon. I submitted a service ticket on April 1st. Other than the automated email notification with the reference of the ticket number, I have not received a response. Could someone please take a look at my ticket? Thank you.
Yeah, we responded back to you on the 2nd, Fabiola. I recommend maybe your junk or your spam folders. Typically when this happens, it seems like Microsoft might have done an update and things are a little pushed around for you all, or you might need a software update internally if you're not getting our messages back. I'm not the service agent on this ticket. Martha, you want to handle this one or you want me to?
Into it.
Thank you. So Fabiola will respond back to you through the ticket though too. Again. But yeah, it was sent.
Okay. Moving on, Sinian from Danuba, Q1. Which files can we start uploading May 7th? Is it okay to upload files discipline just to see what errors it produces? Yeah, any files, any end of year files, CALPADS will accept all of them. Our recommendation though is just make sure if you have data checks, if you have data validations within your SIS, do those first and then send them up. And CALPADS will be able to give you also, like a second pass at your validations. But if you feel like you have all your data populated correctly, you can start submitting any of your data files now. Oh, and Gary, thank you, Gary. He has the milestones up there. If you haven't seen this, it's in our user manual. It's in the EOY roadmap. This is what we're going to go by, folks, to make sure that everyone is meeting the thresholds that we think are necessary in order for you to be successful and meet those deadlines. You'll notice there, we would expect that data discrepancies, any errors should be resolved by the July 12th date. So that's what we'll be looking at. That's our benchmark, right? Make sure that LEAs are at 0 errors by that July 12th deadline, because or July 12th date, because then that gives you about 2 weeks to review any reports with your admin, make sure that there's enough room to go back and forth if there's needing to be any changes, and that you can meet that July 26th deadline, initial deadline. So highly suggest that you take a look at those milestones. And then right below that, you see submission checklist. Submission checklist is super helpful for those folks that need just a little bit of more guidance. It has really cool step-by-steps of just, grand scheme, what you should be looking for, and also has the reports in a different tab so that you know which reports you should be reviewing. So just more tools for you to use. Oh, thank you. Rebecca from Lancaster shared at the 3:17 the Word doc for the EOY training announcement. So if anyone missed it, that is at the 3:17 timestamp, Rebecca from Lancaster. Thank you, Rebecca. Thanks. And then Rebecca has a Q2. We'll circle back. The other Rebecca. Laura Hernandez says, I didn't get the training email for end of year either. Just emailed the listserv and the email is stating I am already subscribed, just FYI. Okay. Interesting. Maybe a little bit more widespread than we thought.
Or if you can check into those for me, that'd be great.
All right. Oh, let's see. Derek, Q1. Is it recommended we map Dari to PER Persian Farsi, or should it be MIS, uncoded languages, other non-English languages? If the latter, any plans to add Dari to this code set? Also, congrats, Alex. Thank you, Derek. I don't know if we have guidance on this. I don't know if we'd have a preference. Okay, Thor, to the rescue. Thank you. Says, I recommend you review Dari language wiki and determine if it's appropriate to use. MIS should be used as a last resort. It does look like Dari is a subset of Persian. Okay.
That's true, and I actually knew that one. Thanks, Thor.
Alex, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, it happened to me again. I lost connection, and I don't know if I'm sharing my screen or not.
Yeah,
We
we're
see-
seeing it. We're seeing your other desktop, the one with just the desktop picture right
Okay.
now.
I don't know why this seems to happen to me every time I turn the Q&A. My whole screens just go blank and then, okay. Now am I sharing
Sabotage.
the right screen?
Yeah, the checklist.
Yes.
Yeah.
Checklist.
Yeah.
Okay. Jeez.
Thanks, Gary. We're going to move on to Catherine, Q1. Now that the four-year cohort date is no longer June 30th, the CD letter sent out on March 1st, 2024, what is the cutoff date that it has gone back to? So the deadline for cohort, and thank you for reminding me, Catherine, I failed to mention it during the announcements. Cohort is pulled the same day as end of year. So whenever end of year deadline is, that's also when cohort will be pulled. This year it is August 16th, right? So by August 16th, you should have everything posted in CALPADS because that is the last day that the data will be pulled for cohort reporting.
I think
The
they have
last
to
day
have,
to enter in grads is that 1 day difference of August 15th. It's a little tricky this year. Yeah. So there's that 1 day difference that we want to make sure that they capture for the grad information. And I'm sorry, Martha, were you going to say something?
I was just going to mention that that's one reason, another reason for trying to adhere to the milestone calendar, because we know how tight those deadlines are and that we give LEAs up until August 15th to determine if a student is a graduate, right? Let's say they're taking summer school and you have up until August 15th to exit them as a graduate, and then they're included in the cohort. But the following day, we close out EOY. And so it gives you very little time. And so you have to do a lot of, we're suggesting, because this is new, we don't want to have people get caught off guard that they're still reconciling cohort on the 15th of August. You need to really reconcile your cohort probably the end of July and be aware who remains that have yet to graduate that you're expecting. Are you expecting 10 more kids? Are you expecting 5 more kids? You don't want to be reconciling that 15.1, 15.2 report at the very end. So that's why the milestones are helpful in trying to plan out your work and knowing that it is the deadline has been moved up. While the cohort and the date for graduates has stayed the same, the EOY processing time got moved up. So you got to close everything out by the 16th. Hopefully that makes sense. The elementaries are really glad they don't do cohort, I'm sure.
Probably. We go on now to Heather from Shasta COE. Question 1 says, is it normal for 24-25 ERDs to bring up ERDs with records that closed 22-23 school year? One of my districts had some that only showed up when I toggled to 24-25, but seems they should have shown up this year's ERDs. Might just be something I have yet to understand.
I don't think it's abnormal. Is there a place where we show them what the date ranges are for the different years?
I know it's on the actual ERD screen.
Here?
Yeah.
But it doesn't have the date range.
It's below.
Right here.
Oh, okay.
So I wonder if those that are in the 24-25 ERDs are just because they just barely met the threshold to, be bumped over to the new year. So maybe take a look at that, Heather. And if you still feel like that's not the case, please submit a ticket and give us an SSID example, and we can take a look at that for you. Let's see, moving on, Yangshu, question 1. Our early learning department contacted my team yesterday asking us to support the CAPSTAC reporting. I have never heard about this state reporting system, and we don't manage the student information system of our preschools. However, they said that it is the preschool version of CALPADS. Do we have any guidance about which department should be conducting CAPSTAC reporting? Do any other school districts' CALPADS teams support CAPSTAC reporting?
So yes, it is the Gary's pointing to it. So yes, it is it's a preschool data system. I don't know if I call it the comparison to CalPads, but yes, I understand what you're saying. And I'm not sure the other part of your question.
I think maybe the second question is more for other folks on the call. If there are any other districts that are familiar with this that do it on behalf of from the, if the CalPads admin also takes on that role, is how I interpret that question. So
Gotcha. Thank you.
If folks could chime in, that's a 326 timestamp.
And the CALPADS data coordinator typically is dealing with the SIS and enrollments in there, and the preschool kids don't typically go into the SIS, the student information system. And so I think maybe the question might be, and LEAs may differ, from one place to the next, of do they have a separate system for their preschool kids, and who oversees that? Do you have a department in your organization that is responsible for preschool?
So to Martha, to your point, you're absolutely correct. And so each of my LEAs, we did have a preschool data person who did basically their enrollment or oversaw their enrollment information to ensure its accuracy. Sometimes that sat in a different portion of your SIS. We worked really hard, one of my LEAs, to get that to sit in a different portion of our SIS system. And I worked closely with that person up until I left and she retired to ensure that the systems ran smoothly. I know that there was a lot of hand entry for our early childhood department though, versus parents updating or parents doing like that online application process. I hope that helps.
We're going to go on. Daphne Q1 says, are there separate email lists for the CALPADS Lis-serve? In other words, one for LEA admins versus other communication. I receive communication emails all the time, but have not received an email with flash communication for some time. Can someone check to see? The last email received from calpads@cd.ca.gov was on March 26th. I have not received any flash emails for some time now. Last digest email was received February 1st. No.
Can you put in a ticket, please?
Yeah.
So that way we can look into it and then actually have your specific LEA email and name so we know which person to look into. That would
You
be
and
great.
Thor are on the same wavelength. He just replied saying the same thing.
Thank you, Thor.
But the last flash that went out was 269, right? And that was on March 19th.
Yeah, I was gonna say we haven't had a flash go out in a minute. I think
But we do have the digests that go out, right?
The digests go out every 2 weeks if needed. And I think the last one we didn't have one go out because we didn't have any information. possibly.
So the last one was March 28th then.
Yes.
Okay. And then Amanda has a similar issue.
Yeah, so if you're
and
having troubles,
Thor.
just go ahead and put in a ticket and we'll get to you. And the ticket queue to see what list you're actually on. And as long as that matches up with your email address that you subscribe to.
Next up, we have Larnie. Q1 says, do we know if initial U.S. enrollment date and enrollment in U.S. less than 3 years are two data sent to TOMS for them to determine if the EL student is exempt from taking the ELPAC? Do we have this documented anywhere, a flash maybe? Thought it was the initial U.S. enrollment date.
I believe that's going over in the file, but not the 3 years, because that doesn't have anything to do with testing.
Yeah. And I know, I'm pretty sure, unless I'm making this up, that we, Sean, you covered this during the last regional, right? The initial U.S. enrollment date and the impact on the ELPAC.
Yes, because some students may not need to take it depending on when that U.S. initial enrollment date is. So just making sure that that information is accurate and correct when you're sending it over to CALPADS. And if not, just send up that correction file for it.
But it's not that they don't have to take the ELPAC, the initial ELPAC. They don't have to take the English language assessment.
I'm sorry. Yes, you're correct.
That's right.
Brandy. Thank you.
Just to be clear. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, you're absolutely correct.
So Larnie, that's the only place that I can think of off the top of my head where there was that documented, and it's in the regional box site. You can download the PowerPoint there.
The recording is posted on the CSIS site.
Okay.
Marshall did that last week.
Rebecca has a comment from Martha, says, yes, we are in elementary and we are very glad we don't do cohort and many other things like the work-based learning, etc., that pertain to high school. Yep. Rebecca has a question too. Eldrick from Fresno Unified Q1. After inadvertently assigning a duplicate SSID to a student and administering the test, we combined the SSIDs and initiated a Stace service ticket requesting an SSID swap. However, TOMS persisted in indicating that both SSIDs remained active in TOMS. What might be the problem in this situation? Thanks. And Thor, thank you. Thor responded saying, please send in a ticket and include the SSIDs. ELAS issues typically take some back and forth to resolve. Keeping Thor busy, aren't we?
Oh, we do.
3:40 timestamp, Marshall posted a link to the CALPADS regional meeting from this March. That's a YouTube recording that Sean mentioned he had just posted. So that's again at the 3:40 timestamp. Next up, we have Marina, Q1. Do we enter the date of a preschool student in the school age 3 and up who received an SSID to be tested but did not qualify? Or is this only for students that actually enroll in preschool? It's for students who are evaluated for special education, right? Oh, Brandy responded.
Yeah. So that the answer is yes. I mean, all students with disabilities who are evaluated for special education, even if they're determined to be ineligible, need enrollments. What does an enrollment mean for a preschool age student who doesn't actually attend school? It means your district has a responsibility, right? The enrollment doesn't mean they're actually attending. It just means your district has a responsibility. And so therefore you would create a primary enrollment, you would conduct the assessment, you would submit the meeting record, you would submit the outcome, which is the status, right? They are not eligible. And then you could no-show that enrollment, right? You could put an N470 code on that enrollment to indicate that they were never enrolled. And we're never going to be served. That's the key there.
And all of that was covered by Brandy's presentation earlier in the fall in the creating and maintaining SSIDs for students with disabilities. That is, the recording is available on our CSIS YouTube channel as well. We are going to now circle back to question 2s and above, and I have the 2 Rebeccas, I believe. Rebecca Aguila, question 2 came in first at 3:02. Question 2 says, will more dates be added for end of year 1 and 4 primer?
Only if there's a demand for it. If we don't feel like people are asking for more, then we won't, because we'll eventually get it recorded and then you'll be able to watch it on the YouTube channel.
Okay, and then looking for Rebecca Morales's question 2.
It's at 3:18.
Thank you. Okay. Question. Oh, Brandy, if we are LA County, way out here in Lancaster, but there are locations closer to us for the SPED road shows, can we attend a different location instead? Just so I can let SPED know if they happen to want to attend in person, please. Thank you.
Yeah, so all of the county offices that are hosting these road shows have agreed to host adjacent counties. So if there's somewhere that's closer to you, if the Riverside or San Bernardino sessions are closer and you want to attend and there's space available, please inquire with those counties to see if there is space available. So yeah, that's totally fine. They've all been very gracious about that.
There's also the virtual one too, right?
Yeah, the statewide virtual. It's not going to be as exciting. I'm just telling you right now, but but we do have a statewide roadshow plan.
You're going to max that though, right? Or
Well,
is that,
what do you mean? Are we going to have?
is there a limit on how many people can go to that?
There's 1,000. 1,000 people is the limit. So I'm hoping that we won't have that many. There.
So Brandy, I'm praying for you that you don't have that many.
Yeah, you're in popular demand, Brandy.
Well, no, but I don't think there will be that many. Also because a lot of the counties, if you look there on the roadshow website that he's showing, some of the counties, if you look at the very, very top, it'll say whether or not they're also doing a virtual option. So, and the maximum capacity of that virtual option. So if they're doing virtual options and you want one of those dates is better for you rather than the statewide virtual session, then I would just also inquire there.
Okay. Going back down, Marshall posted at 3:43 timestamp the creating and maintaining SSIDs for students with disabilities. That's a training that Brandy gave during fall 1 at some point. But the link is at the 3:43 timestamp.
Yep. Cool.
Rebecca is saying, please add at least one more date for the primer. And we have 1 like, so.
And do you have a preference as to what date that should be?
2 likes, 3 likes. Okay, well.
I was like, does that need to be a ticket?
Matt's on the call, right?
Yes, he is. I let him in.
I am, and I am prepared to deliver a second session. I just need a date.
Okay. We'll squeeze one in, Matt, and let everybody know. With our corrections to the announcement with the proper bridge account formatting.
Awesome. Okay. We have a Q2 from Sunyan. Says, I received CINF 60 F1 errors. Student initial U.S. school enrollment date, K-12 greater than student's earliest TK-12 enrollment start date. If they are the same date, can you please explain this error? They're the same date.
The bug? Oh no, that's different.
Perhaps. Yeah, perhaps it is the same. Student, is this for a current year enrollment student, or is this a student? Okay, it is current year, so it wouldn't be that.
We may need a ticket for this one.
Yeah, if it's the same date, I wouldn't expect the error to trigger.
I think I came across this before because I think the logic, I don't know. There's something about it being on the same day.
Maybe if you could submit a ticket, you can put attention Alex on it, and give us an SSID example. I'd be happy to take a look. Just double check that it's not a bug. Thank you. And from Alameda says, at Brandy, we don't no-show SPED students who are being assessed because we want to get credit for it. So we show an enrollment record for the length of the assessment. Assessments take time and resources, so we want to make sure we have an enrollment record in our SIS that accounts for the assessment period.
Yeah, I think that's a good practice. So you want to make sure, I think that's a good practice, right? Don't automatically no-show a preschool enrollment if they're not attending. You only, and much of the guidance and the creating and maintaining SSIDs for students with disabilities slide deck basically says this. If the student is determined to be ineligible, then no-show the enrollment. Otherwise, leave it open and maintain it like you do every other enrollment.
And that is part of that. I love your charts on that training because it shows you exactly when to exit a student and not to, and the dates you should use for enrollment start date and exit date. So
well, thank you. And we are working on getting that into the new SPED data guide that Dominic is working on. I was so excited.
Is Sue-Ann on the call?
I think he's on the call.
I was like, poor Dominic, the pressure is building, it's mounting, huh?
Natasha from Escondido Q1. I keep getting a server error when logging into Bridge. I've submitted a ticket and hoping it's resolved in time to register for end of year primer. Okay, so take a look at your ticket and try to get to the bottom of it, Natasha. Rachel from Turlock, Q1 says, we have a SPED student who is pre-enrolled for next year, but has an initial IEP meeting this school year. How should I report this student enrollment in CALPADS? Thanks for your help.
Well, you don't need one.
Yeah. Look, I thought she was covered that.
Yeah, you don't need an enrollment in this case. So really important, great, I think, great change we made in the SPED redesign was that if you're conducting a meeting, and sometimes those meetings occur outside of student enrollment periods, you can submit the meeting without an enrollment, right? So in this case, the student has an initial, their plan isn't going to start until next year. So you want to submit the fact that you held the initial evaluation within the required time frame, submit the meeting record up. The meeting can go up. Now, the plan can come up with a future start date. However, to submit a plan record, you have to have an enrollment that overlaps, which means that you would have to create a future enrollment for that student. But I wouldn't do that at this point. If you want to just reflect the fact that they held a meeting, go ahead and send it up. So breaking news, we are submitting a change request, by the way, to facilitate early transition meetings. So what that means is right now, some of the vendors are having trouble submitting up statuses that overlap the time period between a meeting and when a plan is actually effective. Okay, and so what we're doing is we're submitting a change request. I can't tell you exactly when it's going to go into effect. It's probably going to be for fall. So coming up this next fall, what you could do in your IEP system is you could hold an initial IEP for a student who is going to be entering school the following academic year. And then your SPED system would generate a status of eligible not participating between the meeting date and the plan effective start date. And then it would also generate another status record with a future start date that you could submit at the same time. So the bottom line is we're going to be changing CALPADS in fall to allow you to submit statuses that start in the future. So you could tell us that they're going to be eligible and participating in the fall, but it will only apply to statuses of eligible and participating. You couldn't give us a future date for a not eligible status or eligible not participating status. So that's coming in the future, but we'll talk about that in the roadshow.
Exciting times. Gabriela says, can you please share the link to the end of year timeline? Absolutely. So that is in our user manual. And it's under our end of year roadmap. So
I had it up one time. I can't find it
Go to
now.
the home page on
here it is.
user manual.
oh yeah. There you go. And so you have on the left-hand side, you can see all the different headings. You can go to either EOI milestones or, wherever, but milestones is where we were at. And then right below that is a checklist.
So Carrie, can you also show the other way when you first go into the user manual, you're on the home page? So if you click on CALPADS, so right there you see in the middle EOI. So if you click on that, that's another way of getting to it. And then it lands you where Gary was before.
Rebecca says, data guide, no pressure, Dominic. So Judy says he's got it. Definitely does. Anna from SELPA. Question 1 says, can SELPAs get a bridge account or is it only for LEAs?
I think we've handed out SELPA bridge accounts.
So they can request one just going through our CISA's website?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, the ticket through there. And you gotta let us know that you are a SELPA, that you're not necessarily a LEA, because LEAs can only have 2.
And I think that's it. Oh, and question 2, are Brandy slides for the enrollment of SPED students in the latest CALPADS regional updates from March? I don't know if they're in the regionals.
No, well, unless Sean had included something. I know I didn't, but Anne, we do have a box link. Milo, can you paste the box link for the creating and maintaining SSIDs for students with disabilities?
Yeah, sure.
Awesome, thank you.
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry, I missed the question. What did I not do?
Oh, no, if we had added the SPED enrollment slides from my creating and maintaining SSIDs, if we had added those to the March regional meeting, and they weren't in there. It's not
Slides weren't in there, but the link was, Brandy. The link was there, and then the link to the SPED office hours was there too.
Great.
Because we figured both of those questions would come up. Yes.
Thank
I got you covered. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, should I still post it here or it was already in?
Yep, we can cover it on all bases, Mila.
Okay, thanks, Phil.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. There we go. Thank you, Milo. So we have a 3:57 timestamp, the link to downloading the PowerPoint for creating and maintaining SSIDs and enrollments for students with disabilities.
I mean, and if you're, for any of those of you that are CALPADS administrators, just kind of wanted to throw out a plug here because at a conference that I was at, Sean and I attended the California School Business School Business Officials Conference. And some of the feedback that I was getting from some of the folks that I talked to was that they are getting reluctance from CALPADS administrators to create statewide student identifiers for preschool age students who are not actually attending school, and also creating enrollments for students that are attending private school that are being evaluated for special education or are being served on individualized service plans. So there's an apprehension for whatever reason to create enrollments for those kids. And that is the only way that those data get reported for purposes of child find, which is a federal law. Okay, so for those of you that are CALPADS administrators, I would recommend taking the slides that Alex is referencing from this particular PowerPoint, print them out as cheat sheets and put them by your desk so that you understand the rules for creating those enrollments, and more importantly, how to maintain them and exit them. Yeah, and more specifically, if you want to scroll down, we can look at the specific slides. We can tell them which slides we're talking about here. So it's further down, Keep going. Let's see, they are slides. Getting close. Okay,
There.
so yeah, so 19, then keep going.
21.
Yeah, 21. I mean, and this has some good information too, right? So 19, 20, 21, the tables. Yeah, just print those out. Set them by your desk because they help.
They'll eventually go into that SPED data guide, right?
Yep. Yeah. They will go into the SPED data guide. But the other thing I should say about this, just so you're aware, is that there's some guidance that's changing this month for preschool age students that are attending private preschools that also have TK and higher grades. So there is, right now, CALPADS does not allow those students to be served on individualized service plans as with a preschool grade level, ages 3 to 5, but that is changing. So the SPED office is going to be sending out some guidance about that. We're getting ready to put out CALPADS Flash with that information, as well as information that's going to go out through the CALPADS SPED support Lis-serve. And that just clarifies, and it will change this, right? But we're waiting until we get that guidance out there. We'll also talk about it at the office hours on Monday.
And Shelley's asking, is it just slides 19, 20, and 21?
Well, there's lots of other really good information in here, but for purposes of the CALPADS administrator and creating, maintaining, and exiting enrollments, these three should do it.
And then last question from Melissa Q1 says, is the CALPADS data guide getting updated soon?
Yes. The SSID
Dominic?
guide is first, though. No, that's not Dominic.
I know.
That's so, I was like, I'd love for it to be two, but no. The SSID guide is first. That one was created before the data guide and it needs a refresher first. And then we will post the data guide. And our goal is to try and revamp the format of it as well. And then I have a quick update for the LEA, the trainings, the announcement that went out for end of year uh bridge accounts for trainings. That only went to LEA admins because those should be the only people that have the bridge accounts. And so if you are not an LEA admin, then you are not part of that targeted list. And so, yes, you did not receive that email information for the very reason that you don't have a bridge account.
Sometimes the LEA admin bequeaths their their spot to somebody that's really doing the work. So it's typically the person that has the LEA admin role, 98% of the time, but there are a handful of people that they're not the LEA admin, but they are the main contact for us that has the bridge account.
You tell me that one came from me, boss Martha. So you
Yeah,
just tell me
well,
what you want to do. And
we
can
like
go
it that it just goes to the LEA admins because then people want to come to training and they can't, and then we have to break the news. You don't have a bridge account, so it's a difficult one for us to get just right. Please, everybody.
I would say connect with their LEA admin. Then they're identified for the few that their accounts have been granted to them. Connect with their LEA admin and ensure they're getting that information.
Yeah, or if they know they already have a bridge account, that they check periodically for the schedule to get posted, and then you don't have to wait for the announcement. So that's another option for those exceptions.
That's so very true.
And if you don't know if you've been set up with the bridge account, you can always send in a ticket and we can let you know if you're the bridge user or if somebody else in your agency is the bridge user. I would love to have everybody have an account, but it's money, and our charge is to train the trainer, which ends up being the LEA admin. And then for those that don't have a bridge account, it's not the end of the world because you're going to be able to watch the videos when they come out. It's just a little delay. And if you think, well, then I got to wait till June. Well, you can watch the videos right now from last year because there has been minimal amount of change from last year to this year. So you could watch the videos and know what we're going to talk about in the live sessions.
Heather from Shasta COE just had a comment. I think it's a good one. Some COEs host watch parties for their district data admins. I like that too. Yeah. Just say you're going to bring the popcorn or something, and then it'll be a show that you all get to partake in together. So,
check with your county office. I like that. Thanks, Heather. Good idea.
Yolanda, to your question, your LEA admin did receive the email. I verified it. That's how I was able to verify you weren't the LEA admin, and you didn't receive it.
Okay. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining today. We will be back here next week, same time, same link. So enjoy this nice toasty weather, and we'll see you next week.